Welcome to My Life on a GLP-1, the podcast where we explore the real lived experiences of being on these transformative medications. I'm your host, Scott Johnson, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Sarah.
Hey Scott, great to be here.
Today we're diving into a side effect that you won't find listed on the box, but one that thousands of people are talking about. It's this strange, sometimes uncomfortable, and often illuminating shift in how the world treats you after significant weight loss. We're talking about pretty privilege.
It's such a fascinating and complex topic, and the stories people are sharing are just incredibly powerful.
They really are. And you know, I came prepared today with my own story about this. Not that I am pretty, but well, you get it. It's an experience that just perfectly captures the whole thing. It involves 2 trips to the same grocery store, just about 90 pounds apart.
Okay, I'm hooked. Give us the details.
So on the first trip, pre-weight loss, there I was, in the cereal aisle. A store employee wanders nearby, makes zero eye contact, and starts pretending to reorganize an already perfectly organized shelf about 6 feet away, basically just hovering until I leave, hovering and watching me. Like, did he think I was going to steal some Raisin Bran because I needed the fiber to poop so desperately?
Oh, the hover. A classic. It's like you're being monitored, but not in a helpful way.
Exactly. Now, fast forward to a few weeks ago. Same store, same aisle, but 90 pounds lighter. A different employee spots me from across the store, walks right over with a smile, and asks if I need help finding anything.
Wow. Okay, well that's nice, right?
Well, yeah, but I ask for protein granola, and then she personally walks me to the spot and even recommends a couple of her favorite brands. To top it off, when I get to the checkout, the cashier compliments my jacket, saying, "Wow, that is an amazing jacket." And let me be very clear, it is not a nice jacket. It's frayed and has a permanent stain on it that's been there for at least 6 years.
That is night and day. It's almost comical how different those two interactions are. The only variable that changed was your body size.
The only variable, Sarah, and this is the core of what people are calling GLP-1 pretty privilege. It's this unearned societal advantage you get when you start fitting more closely into the dominant standards of beauty.
Right. The concept itself isn't new, people have talked about it for a while, but what feels completely new is the speed at which this is happening for people on these medications.
That's the key. It's not a slow, gradual change over a decade. People are experiencing this shift in a matter of months. And because the before is so fresh in their memory, the contrast is just blindingly clear.
It's like you're conducting a social experiment on yourself in real time, and the results are pouring in every single day.
And what's really interesting is the specific kind of whiplash this seems to be causing, particularly for men. There was a Reddit thread that just exploded, started by a guy who had lost over 70 pounds.
Oh, I need the details. What was he saying?
He was talking about all the new things happening, people holding doors for him, getting handed free stuff, more smiles from strangers. And he said the suddenness of it all was, and this is a direct quote, kind of pissing me off.
I totally get that. It's not just happiness about the new positive attention, there's an anger there.
Right. It's this disorienting realization that you've been let in on a secret, as if there's this whole other, kinder, easier version of the world that was always there, but you just didn't have the password.
And the password was just being thinner. That's incredibly frustrating. It confirms that the privilege is real, which also confirms that the bias and judgment you experienced before were just as real. It wasn't in your head.
And that, Sarah, is the painful question that so many people are left with. Where was all of this before? Where was this kindness, this assumption of goodwill?
And it's not just about strangers. I've read stories from women who said that people they've known for years, friends, co-workers, suddenly started treating them better. That has to be so much harder to process.
Oh, absolutely. And it goes beyond just social niceties. I was talking about this with a friend who described it happening at work perfectly. He said people now assume competence rather than me needing to prove it.
Ouch. That one stings.
It really does. And then he added, it hurts my heart for my older self. And that's the grief part of it, isn't it? You're happy with your progress, but you're also mourning for the person who had to navigate a much harder world for no good reason.
Yeah, it reframes your entire past. You start re-evaluating things like job interviews, first dates, interactions with service people, all through this new lens. It's a huge mental load.
It is. We talk so much about the clinical side of GLP-1s, the side effects, the cost, the supply chain. But this conversation is forcing a spotlight onto something much bigger, the pervasive, documented reality of fat bias.
For sure. And many, like me in particular, may be under-equipped to process it all. There's often this sense of quiet grief that comes alongside the very real benefits of weight loss, and it can feel pretty isolating.
It's a huge, complicated conversation, and one that these medications are forcing into the open. It's making people confront how society really operates.
Absolutely. The question so many GLP-1 users are sitting with isn't just why is this good stuff happening to me now? It's the much heavier question, why wasn't it happening before?
A question worth sitting with, indeed. And that really is just another example of why we do this podcast and why I wrote my book, which is available on Amazon on paperback and Kindle. I just felt the need to come out of the closet, so to speak, and start to normalize the conversation. The conversation is changing, but slowly. I know I felt so isolated almost 3 years ago when I started and wish I had the resources that are available now.
I remember over a year ago, when you approached me, you made me open up and gave me confidence in my journey. And to each of you listening, I suspect you are somewhere in your journey where you go through the weird and the wonderful. So if you feel seen or say, hey, that is me, then do us a favor, give us a share or a like, and comment on our podcast so we can make sure everyone feels seen, you know? Tell us, Scott, what final part of this pretty privileged topic has impacted you the most?
Thanks, Sarah. It's always a pleasure to unpack these big topics with you. So, besides the number on the scale, the other change is internal for me. I am now very aware of my own inherent and unconscious biases that have accompanied me since childhood. My lesson is I am more aware of how I treat others, regardless of what I see. I treat people how I want others to treat me. This new self-awareness is the part that takes the longest to sit with. I still go to that grocery store every week. The employee who walked me to the granola waved at me last Tuesday from across the produce section. Full hand wave, big smile. I waved back. I'm working hard at being more present in life, but it takes time. So, on behalf of Sarah, I'm Scott Johnson, sending a huge thank you to all of you for listening. Remember, everyone has some sort of conscious or unconscious bias. People are weird. Just remember your personal strength to love yourself and always love your journey.